everybody, it's me, Cheyenne. I actually said that to a girl the other night at a bar when I had a couple drinks that I recognized, and I was like, hey, I know you. And she looked at me really puzzled and confused, and I was like, it's me, Cheyenne. And I don't think she knew who the heck I was at all. And I think I only met her like once before she worked in this office I used to work in. It was really embarrassing. But anyways, it's Cheyenne and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is just a little video discussing how I passed the Danb exams if you're becoming a dental assistant, and just some tips and tricks for you guys. I do get this question a lot on Instagram, so I thought I would just share some with you. So in Oregon, you have to take your, well, I don't even think you have to have it, but we took our ICE exam in school, which is infection control. And then we did our radiology, and then Oregon Basic, and then our EFTA test. And these are all tests that you take through Danb, and then you have to pass in order to be certified. So starting with my ICE exam. ICE exam to me was super easy. It was just about infection control. So you're gonna be learning about how to properly clean rooms, your PPE, which is like your protective stuff that you wear in an office. If you guys hear snoring, it's my pug in the background, he's sleeping. But anyways, so your PPE, what you're wearing in an office, and then like medical emergency type stuff, they do ask you a little bit about. But everything I used was online. I would just Google ICE exam. I use Quizlet a lot, and my textbook. I always use my textbook. I just look through the chapters of certain things that were in the test and studied them. Also, what I always did before my Danb test is I would show up about an hour beforehand, just so I wasn't stressed about getting there late and I wasn't running across town. I'd always get a coffee and show about an hour, hour and a half beforehand, and park in the parking lot with my textbook or my like Quizlet flashcards that I had printed out. And I would just sit there and I would read and I would study just to get a good refresher before. That really worked for me. I am a visual learner. I kind of have like a photographic memory. So I would just go through the chapters and just brush up, so I felt like I was prepared. You don't want to go into these tests super stressed or super freaked out, because it's just not good for you. You want to go into it calm and like you're going to know this stuff. Now, if you've never taken these Danb tests before, the testing center can be a little scary. At least the one that I go to. So you walk in, they get like your ID and they check everything, and then they release you. Well, not release you. They have you like lock all your stuff into a locker so you can't have anything on you. They make you empty out your pockets, everything. You know, they check behind your hair if you have your hair down, and they take your picture and all this crazy stuff. And then they even do like your fingerprints, and you're not allowed to have anything. You walk into this really quiet room where everyone has like headphones on, because I want to make sure no one's cheating, right? And then when you're done with the test, you walk out and they give you this little white piece of paper that's folded up after you've collected all your things. And then you walk out and you open it and it says pass or not pass. And it's very scary, but you want to make sure you go into these tests just calm and collective. So I honestly recommend arriving early and sitting in the parking lot and just drinking your coffee, relaxing, studying, just preparing yourself for the test. Okay, so that was my ICE exam. ICE exam, I honestly thought was pretty easy. I thought it was common knowledge, you know, pretty easy. Now, the next one we took was radiology. Radiology was tough. Now, my last cohort, which was my last dental group, our last graduating class, we were told that we were the last class that was learning traditional films, because a lot of offices are doing digital now, or at least transferring to digital. So my Danb test had traditional questions on there. I'm not quite sure if the Danb radiology test now does. I think it does though. I had a student tell me last year that she still had traditional questions on there. So with that being said, you need to make sure you are brushed up on what exactly needs to be in certain x-rays, okay? So like the bite wing x-ray, you need to have the distal of the canine in there. You need to make sure the bone levels are showing, you have open contacts. You also need to make sure you know the settings like for the machine. So what your dial is going to be for adults and children. Also, any processing errors for traditional film. So if the film comes out too dark, what happened? If the film comes out too light, what happened? If it has spots on it, what's that mean? If there's a line on it, what does that mean? You know, cone cuts, all of that kind of stuff you need to know about for radiology. You also need to know, you know, about your films, how many PAs in a full FMX, and then how many bite wings and all that kind of stuff. So make sure you know all that. And also with the radiology, you're going to be taking a full set of films, which is 18 films, to send off. So you need to get that approved before you take your test. Now, radiology to me was a little bit more tricky. So definitely read on your textbook. But again, you can use Quizlet and things like that. But that one is a little bit more tricky. So make sure you do study for those. Make sure you study traditional and digital, just in case it's on there, unless you know for sure that traditional is not going to be on there, but I would study both just to be on the safe side. Now, my next test that I took was Oregon Basic. The basic to me, and in Oregon, you have to take that before you can take your EFTA. So the basic to me was easy. It was just general knowledge. It was like teeth surfaces, teeth numbering, I'm trying to remember what else was on there. Just like simple dental assisting stuff. I think it was like instruments and like what's an Explorer, what's a mirror. It was like simple dental assisting stuff. I thought that was quite easy to pass. Now your next one is going to be your EFTA test. Now your EFTA test, you don't have your full certification until you've passed your EFTA test, and you have to turn in a checkoff list that your dentist signs off on. You have to mail that into Danb, and then you get your EFTA certification. And your checkoff list is like you have to do so many temporary crowns, so many matrix band placed, so many teeth whitenings. Actually, I think they removed the teeth whitening. But there's things like that that you need to do. So many child prophies, and then your dentist signs off on it and you mail it in. But the EFTA test, again, to me, was another difficult one. And the EFTA, so what's different between a dental assistant and an expanded functions dental assistant, which is an EFTA, is an EFTA can do a few more things. So they can do temporary crowns, they can do child prophies, they can get certified to do soft relines and sealants. They can just do a little bit more than the average dental assistant can. They just have a different certification. So I do think you should get your EFTA. I think it makes you more valuable to the office, and because you can help more, you can do more. But so with that being said, you want to make sure you're studying those things. So you want to study your temporary crowns. Prophies, I remember that being a big thing on my test, and they ask you about prophy paste, what type of prophy paste to use, you know, what you do during a prophy, what type of prophy cup you can use. They asked me about temporary cement. It's a lot of cement questions. Oh gosh, what else did they ask me on my EFTA? They did ask me about teeth whitening. So make sure you're studying all those into your textbook. But I honestly only use Quizlet. I did not purchase any extra studying guides. I think a lot of that is just trying to get extra money out of you. I don't think you need it. Ask around, ask people their experience on the test, but just study your textbook. Like, that's all you really need is your textbook. And just free stuff. I wouldn't pay extra money for studying guides. I think it's a waste of money. I don't think you need it. So just study for those type of things. And again, just try to relax before it and take a deep breath and know it's okay. If you fail, it's okay. Like, you can always retake the test. Yes, they're a little bit expensive, but don't sweat it. Like, there's no limit on how many times you can take this test or how long you have to wait in between tests. You can take this test as many times as you need to pass it. At least in Oregon you can. I don't know about other states, but don't stress it. It's not the end of the world if you don't pass. I did not pass the first time on my EFTA test. I failed, and it was heartbreaking. It was my last term of school. I walked out and I was like, not pass? Like, what the? I didn't pass. I failed my EFTA the first time. All right, I didn't pass it at all, and I had to retake it. I think I had to take it like a month later. I retook it, and I passed it. It's okay if you pass. It happens, or if you don't pass, it happens to everybody. Well, maybe not everybody. Some people pass them all. But it's okay. It doesn't mean you're going to be a bad dental assistant. It doesn't mean you're not smart. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means to study a little bit more, or maybe you were stressed, or maybe you just got really hard questions. Also on the Danb test, like if you're answering them, if you're answering them correct, the test gets harder. Also, if you're answering questions, like if you're answering questions about a child prophy and you're missing them, they'll quit asking you about child prophies. They'll move on to another topic. So that can be really helpful if you're not doing so good in a subject. They'll switch the subject. But if you're answering them correctly, the test gets harder, which, you know, makes it more difficult. But yes, it's okay. So those are my suggestions, or what I did to pass the Danb exams. Everyone's different. If you want to pay extra for study guides, you can. It wasn't my thing. I did fine off Quizlet and off Google and off free resources, and just my plain old textbook. But yeah, you guys are gonna do great. You're gonna pass them, and if you don't sweat it. It's perfectly fine. It happens. It totally happens. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.